saying that our experience of democracy here needs to go through a growth process. It needs to grow. And several elements and ingredients which make for mature democracy are still being developed in this country. Level of literacy, education, and all of that. So we're talking about some difficulties, but let's not despair yet of our experiment with the democracy, because if the electorate, if the public is not literate enough to be able to appreciate values, then you probably have a situation similar to what has been described about hypocrisy and all of that, people and a lot of the stomach and all of that. So probably we just need to, in this sense, probably pay attention to what has been observed over here about developing literate society, education, and how it can be done to just make people capable of assessing issues, taking issues, thinking them through, and be able to form their own mind and come to a decision of their own. Now, related to this has been the observation made about this public space and its closure to public, which Professor talked about. And apparently here it's being closed because you open your mouth and then you probably lambasted or criticized your own dignity, whatever is run through, whatever type of thing. Haven't just arrived before the funeral of the president. I saw this, a little bit of it happened to the vice president who was suggested. Comments and observations made about him. So I suppose that's part of the thing that closes the public space to what has been expressed over here, that when something happens, you expect that the literate society or the experts will come out and speak and nobody speaks. Probably stuff like that scares people. They want to be of help, but they don't want their names dragged in the mud. And with the internet, this thrown online, for everybody to read whatever thing may be said about somebody, whether they're true or not. So we probably need to work on that. And working on that, I like to draw attention. Mr. Ranford Tete is kind of gone, but I support a lot of journalists over here. Part of this has to do with our own little small control of the language we use. In our media here, I suppose we use foreign languages, or we use to a large extent English. Now, both of them have problems, and have problem in the sense that we have the particular situation of speaking a language which we do not usually write and read. We speak a lot of local languages, or Fanti or Akan. We speak it all over, but writing it is not promoted, and so reading it properly is also not promoted. Therefore, the development of concepts in that language is affected. When therefore a journalist or a press person has to express something in a foreign language, the likelihood of using wrong words or expressions which have meanings which go beyond what he himself had in mind is very, very easy. And that promotes or generates a whole lot of, if you want, what the public may refer to as incendiary language and all of that. A little bit of it has to do with the control. Same thing with English. A German television did a session on Kenya and their study of English, and ended up, about this primary school, and said, these are kids struggling with a language they will never master. And that's probably true. And so we've had Australian English, Indian English, and we may well have a Ghana English. Okay, and that just means that we're speaking English Ghanaian way. Now, that may well be true. But when we're doing this and so speaking English as the language of the media, not recognizing that nuances of words and expressions may be such as to cause trouble or pain. I'll give a small example. Over last weekend, I made a small point at the GJA meeting about objective values. And I read a posting on Joy FM, which says that I have accused the political parties of hypocrisy. There is a difference between observing on objective, saying that we need to develop objective values, than accusing me that I refer to the two parties as hypocrites. So we need to recognize that part of the difficulty may well be our own control and mastery. These are foreign languages that we're trying to learn. That is true. But what does it cost to take a dictionary to verify the sense or meaning of an expression? Or if you want, consult an expert. Or the radio stations or the print houses may have, people, in their whatever, in their editorial team or whatever, who are able to proofread and probably help people say the right thing. And it's the same thing on air. For that matter, I wish, for example, that sometimes some of the radio stations have a delay mechanism which will allow people to speak and not come on air right immediately, enabling the presenter to be able to judge the propriety of what is being said. So if the thing is going to be incendiary or so offensive, he can probably prevent it from coming on air. Because that is part of the problem. And I was just supposed to show up there not to make another speech. But at the end of it all, I'll probably I hope I get a chance to share with you something that somebody came up to me, knowing that we'll be going to elections, we're going for elections in December. Going to be, Cardinal, your country will be going for election. Watch out these things because they have been the methods used to disrupt the election in other places. I can probably mention that later. But briefly responding to the reactions, that's what it is. I like so much I wish I could advise the media houses, because they're the outlet of a whole lot of these things, and whether people are happy with what is happening, if 90% of discussions in Parliament find consensus and nothing gets reported, so that the impression is that nothing is done, it's a media activity. So that's probably where the big appeal will go to. As for the objective value, she is challenging us to find a forum where we can describe objective values. Every president comes to America and he knows that America must come second to no power. That's an American dream and vision that every American president espouses. America must stay on top. That's something that drives every politician, Democrat, a Republican, whatever comes. We need to have something here in Ghana that is meaningful, that captures our vision of our own self. And probably if the challenge is helping formulate that, I suppose we can help. But for now, I think that's where we want to probably come. Madam?
And like His Eminence, I will say, don't give up on the Ghanaian. We are not so bad. There are all the things you say Ghanaians are, other people are too. That is why there are structures. That is why there are rules.